Now I have the privilege and honor to introduce our President and CEO, a one-of-a-kind leader and man, Mr. Rob Artis, to deliver his annual report.
Thank you, Ryan. I never know exactly what Ryan's going to say when he introduces me, but it's always entertaining. I really want to start out by echoing what Ryan said and what the chairman said. Thank you to all of you who came out to our annual meeting. It was a fantastic turnout. We didn't quite break a record, but what a great day. I mean, we were 3 times quorum, so that is a fantastic turnout, and to produce that all in one day is a really big deal. It's hard for me to imagine this, but this is actually the 6th time that we have done the drive-through annual meeting. It still feels like a new thing to me, but to see how this goes so smoothly and to see how it all works out really is a big deal. And I really want to give a lot of credit to the board for allowing us to do it that way. If there's one good thing that came out of COVID, it is the drive-through annual meeting. We did it out of necessity in 2020. And then all of a sudden we realized that folks really like it. And so when we originally pitched this idea to the board, they had to put a lot of faith in us that this would turn out well, and it has turned out well. And I want to thank them for agreeing to let us do it this way. And while I'm on the subject of the board, I know the chairman just said this, but I want to echo his words and just say what a wonderful group of individuals that I get to work for. It's a difficult thing to balance the needs of an individual member with that of the entire corporation. But that's what a board member has to do, because they are answerable to individual members, but also they have a fiduciary duty to the entire organization. And to walk that line to balance those two things is such a big deal, and they do it so well. The employees see it. I certainly see it, and I'm very fortunate to be able to work for them and with them as they look after the best interests of the cooperative. Now, when I was thinking about the remarks that I wanted to make in this address, obviously anytime you have an annual meeting in the middle of April, you're going to be right in the middle of the General Assembly legislative session. So we always have our eye on what might be coming from the South Carolina State House, and this year is no different. Particularly this year, we're looking at House Bill 3309, which we have called the Energy Bill. It's a big deal to us because one of the things that it does is it enables Santee Cooper and Dominion Energy to build a large, very efficient gas-fired power plant together. The reason the General Assembly is necessary to do that is because Santee Cooper is a quasi-state agency and Dominion is an investor-owned utility. So for Santee Cooper to build something with an investor-owned utility actually requires the act of the General Assembly. We need them to do that because even though Santee Cooper and Dominion are both big organizations, what they could build alone is not as efficient, not as big, doesn't have the same economies of scale as what they could build as a group. And so we are certainly supportive of that, and I'm thankful that that language is in the current version of the law, and the cooperatives are certainly in favor of Santee Cooper and Dominion being able to do this together. Now, of course, anytime you have a big bill come through the legislature, you'll have some shenanigans come about with a couple of senators, and we certainly did as that was being debated. That was very interesting watching that go on, and we had a couple of folks try to put forward an amendment that was specifically meant to help a handful of very large industries at the detriment of the rest of the state of South Carolina. And it was interesting when it was brought forward, because not only did we disagree with the idea of the amendment, but also the way that it was brought about. Kind of kept in the secret and in the dark until about 10:30 one evening when they were debating this. And so I really want to brag on 2 of Santee Electric's senators, because while we were in the heat of the moment, they were in constant communication with us. And saying, hey, we think that there's something happening here. We need to know what you guys think about this. And so particularly, I want to talk about Senator Ronnie Sabb, who covers a lot of Santee Electric's Williamsburg and Georgetown County Service Territory, and also Senator Mike Rickenbaugh, who covers a lot of Santee Electric's Florence County Service Territory. Those two gentlemen were very supportive. They knew what was better for the greater good of their constituents, and certainly what was better for the majority of South Carolina. They worked hard to beat this amendment and make sure that it didn't make it into the law. And so I just want to compliment those two gentlemen. That was a big deal, and it was certainly heard loud and clear the way they supported us. So now that bill moves on to the House of Representatives where it originated. Hopefully it'll go through there without a lot of drama and then make it onto the governor's office, because we do need that. The state of South Carolina needs that bill to go forward. So the next thing I want to talk about is something else that has also happened earlier this year. If you read the Living magazines, you know that I talked about this in my February column. And this is probably the part of the, this will be the negative portion of my annual meeting remarks, but it would be irresponsible for me not to talk about it. And that is the fact that Santee Electric Cooperative, after a long period of time, did have an adjustment to its wholesale power cost adjuster that was a positive number. For years, our wholesale power cost adjuster was either zero or negative, and so we finally had something happen that caused the rates to actually increase. And we don't take that lightly, and this is definitely something I want to talk about and make sure everybody understands, because it's my job to explain things like this when they happen. Now, as the cost of everything that we utilize to build the system that we are tasked with constructing and maintaining, as those costs have escalated, the costs of poles and transformers and wires and meters that we use on a daily basis have really doubled in the last 5 years. But through efficiencies, we've been able to absorb those costs. And then we started seeing increases in the wholesale power that we purchase. I think most of you are aware that Santee Electric doesn't generate electricity. We buy 25% of our power from Duke and 75% of our power from Santee Cooper. And Duke has steadily been increasing that rate that we pay for wholesale power over the past several years. And as this was a smaller portion of our generation mix and the fact that it came out gradually, we were also able to absorb those cost increases. Now, Santee Cooper's been in a rate lock period for the past 4 years, and so when the rate lock period ended at the end of '24, because it was such a large portion, as I said, Santee Cooper is 75% of our generation mix, and it was a large, very, very big adjustment that happened all at once. That suddenly ended up being one cost increase that we could not absorb. Just to put things into reference for you, Santee Electric spent $85 million on wholesale power last year. That same amount of power that we need to buy this year will cost $105 million. A $20 million increase in 1 year, almost 25% increase. There's nowhere that we can look to our budgets to trim $20 million out of the budget. So that finally came across as something that had to be passed on to the ratepayers. We don't take that lightly. We pushed it off as long as we could, and we know what a big deal it is. The average residential consumer that Santee Electric Cooperative has uses 1,300 kilowatt hours in an average month. 1,300 kilowatt hours at 1 cent per kilowatt hour is going to cause the average bill to go up $13. And this started at the beginning of the year. We don't take it lightly, as the cost of everything else that you buy goes up. For your power bill to also go up $13 on average is something that I don't want to have to share, but obviously it's the truth, and it's my responsibility to talk about it. So that'll conclude the negative portion. Even though it's my responsibility to talk about it, I'll make sure that the rest of this is positive. I know we're live streaming this on Facebook, so if there's any angry face emojis coming out, maybe they'll pop out right now. And we'll talk about positive things for the rest of my remarks. One thing that I particularly want to brag on, because this was actually born of an idea from one of our employees, something that we do here that came up homegrown from Santee Electric Cooperative, and it's a charity that we formed, and it was something that one of our employees came up with. Now, she doesn't like taking credit for this, so I won't say Megan's last name, but we've got an employee who once was an elementary school teacher, and she has firsthand knowledge of things that the average person doesn't realize that a student in school or a teacher has to deal with because we've never dealt with it firsthand. So one of the examples that we've tried to focus on is every now and then elementary school kids might have an accident at school, and something that causes them to mess up their clothes. Whether it's I've got kids, and I remember when they were young, they might have a bathroom accident. They might have an accident out on the playground and fall down and get muddy clothes. For the average person, when a child messes up their clothes, it's not that big of a deal. It's embarrassing. You go home, you wash clothes, and everything's fine the next day. But she knew firsthand that sometimes that child doesn't have a washer or dryer at home, and so that dirty outfit might make the difference between them going to school the next day or not. And so what this charity has tried to do, first of all, and the name of our charity is Cooperative Light. What this charity has tried to do, first of all, is put a washer and dryer in every elementary school within Santee Electric's footprint. We think that if all it takes is a clean set of clothes that's standing between a child and an education, we want to make sure that we do what we can to make sure that child has that. But it goes beyond washers and dryers. They provide coats in the wintertime. They provide school supplies and book bags when school's starting back. They provide personal hygiene products for female students. We want to make sure that folks that didn't have to worry about such things understand that there are people who don't naturally have that. And so we've been able to do a lot of good, and we continue to do a lot of good through this charity. But the thing that I'm the most proud of because of this is that it is not paid for by any stretch of the imagination, a majority by Santee Electric Cooperative. 80% of what we do for this charity is driven out of the generosity of donations, employee donations, trustee donations, the partners that we depend on throughout the communities that we serve. Individuals and businesses that work with Santee Electric Cooperative have contributed 80% of these funds, and the fact that we're able to do that without putting it on the backs of the ratepayers is a big deal. One of the 7 cooperative principles is concern for community, so it is absolutely Santee Electric Cooperative's responsibility to lift the community up. But the fact that Santee Electric is only having to share 20% of this burden is something that I'm pretty excited about, and really proud of the fact that it was the idea of one of our employees. And that brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about. I usually lead off with this group, but when I was thinking about what my remarks should be, it dawned on me that this is my 10th annual meeting speech since I've come to Santee Electric Cooperative. And when I think about what CEOs typically say about the cooperative when they give their annual meeting speech, they typically say things like, the cooperative is strong. Your cooperative is financially strong, the reliability and the safety is there. And I realize I've never really gone out of my way to say that because we kind of take it for granted here at Santee Electric Cooperative, because the co-op was built on very strong principles, and it's had great leadership over the years, and it has been strong for 85 years. So just because I don't mention it doesn't mean that it's not true. I am very proud of the leadership that we have here at Santee Electric and how financially strong the co-op is. But I particularly want to give a lot of credit to the men and women that I get to work with on a regular basis. It is amazing to be able to work with such smart and hardworking folks, to be able to just sit back and look at, wow, what wonderful things they are doing. Now, I'm at an interesting point in my career where there are folks at Santee Electric Cooperative who've been here much longer than I have. They've been here longer than I've even been in my career. And those are the folks that we look towards who have seen it all and done it all and risen to every challenge, and those are the folks whose experience we lean on when the co-op is going through tough times. But on the other end of the spectrum, we've entered into a period where the newest employees that we have hired are younger than my children, which first that makes me feel a little bit old, but still when I think about the fact that we are hiring the future of Santee Electric Cooperative, and to be able to look at that spectrum of employees, the folks who have been here and seen it all and done it all, and we lean on them every day, but also looking at the future of the cooperative, it's a great place to be. So again, I'm blessed to be able to work with very bright and very hardworking employees, but it's more than just bright and hardworking. If you came to our annual meeting today, you saw two things. You saw a lot of bright green t-shirts and you saw a lot of smiles. And let me tell you, those smiles were not forced. The men and women that work here love working for C&T Electric Cooperative. We love what we do, we believe in what we do, and we enjoy annual meeting. Annual meeting is like a family reunion because a lot of folks that don't typically get to work together get to come together on annual meeting day. We put all of our other work aside so that we can serve you. And we get to see you as well. And so when you see us smiling, those are genuine smiles because we actually love what we do here. And being able to work with those folks has really been the blessing of my career. It makes a huge difference, and that, folks, is why your cooperative is strong. With that, I'll conclude my remarks and wish you good luck in the prize drawings, and I hope you have a great year. Thank you.